What's going on, everyone? Let's talk a little bit about my time here in Canada and why I moved to Vancouver to study. Because when I came down there to Canada, I was actually studying in Kamloops. It's a smaller town. It's not as big as Vancouver, as you can see. Got all these buildings going on. And so I wanted to shed light a little bit on why I moved, because I feel like a lot of students who are coming to Kamloops and they see my videos and they see that I moved to Vancouver, they always look at Kamloops like it's not a final destination, like it's a temporary place where they'll have to be and they'll move out. So I wanted to talk about why I moved to Vancouver and why you might think of doing it and why you might not think of doing it. But before we get into any of that, if you want to see more of these kinds of videos on this channel, we talk all about thriving abroad. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. So let's get right into it. When I was about to graduate in Kamloops, I wanted to do more things in public speaking. I wanted to get more opportunities in that realm where I could talk to people face to face in a facilitation setting, in a public speaking setting. And I felt like in Kamloops I had done that quite a bit. I'd actually become known for that because I won a few championships and whatnot. And because it's a small town, you get to know everyone really quickly and it becomes very stale. You get to know the opportunities, you get to know all the people there, and you can't really grow. So about a year before I even graduated, I had my sights set on Vancouver. It's a bigger city. I figured there are more opportunities here for me. The challenge with that was finding a job, and the other challenge was affording living here, because it's probably twice as expensive to live in this city than it is the smaller towns. Regardless, I think also because of what I wanted to do in my personal life, I wanted to do a lot of martial arts. I wanted to make new friends, meet people from other parts of the world, and not just have friends in university, but make friends in other settings as well, in networking settings, friends from people who are doing things that I'm not doing right now. And I feel like being in a small town, you're kind of limited to the kinds of people you do meet up. So I was very conscious of that. Now, I made a choice to move to Vancouver because I had met someone who had given me an opportunity to work with them for a while, and that offered me, in a sense, a job. So I could come to Vancouver and start working and start meeting people. And I feel like when I came here, I joined a salsa dancing class, I joined my martial arts class, I joined a comedy club, and was doing all of these different things. And that's something I couldn't really do back in Kamloops because it's such a small place. Not to say there isn't room for it, but in a bigger city, there are just a lot more opportunities. Now, the challenges I faced when I came here, again, the rent just doubled and my salary hadn't doubled. I was making maybe like 16 bucks an hour or whatever, and that's not a whole lot when you're paying $1,000 in rent and you're trying to afford food and all of that. It is pretty expensive. But the whole reason I came down here was because I wanted to search for a job and I wanted to create a lifestyle. I'm not someone who can be in a very small environment like a small city for too long, because once you get to know everyone, it gets kind of boring. And if you're that kind of person who really enjoys that setting, then great. If you're not, then you need something bigger like Vancouver or Toronto. So I guess my advice to you would be, if you are trying to come to Kamloops and you're okay with Kamloops, that's okay. I would even advise, if you're about to graduate and you don't have a lot of money and you can find a job in smaller towns, smaller cities in Kamloops, smaller cities in Canada, that's fine, because you'll save a lot of money there. And while you're saving money, you can find a job, you can look for employment opportunities, all of that stuff, instead of spending like thousands of dollars on rent like a lot of people do. Because when I was here and I was spending thousands of dollars just in living cost, and I didn't have a proper job, and I was searching for something where I could make more money, that really wears you down. So if you can find a job in smaller cities, you'll save a lot of money on rent, and at the same time you will be building yourself a career which you can eventually take to a city sometime later on. So if I had to, would I stay in a small city? I would, only to save money. I wouldn't do it because I wanted the kind of lifestyle a small town offers. But now that I'm here, just looking at it, you can tell like how big this place is. It's so many opportunities around you here. With a smaller town, you just don't have that, and there's more opportunity for travel. You meet people from a lot of different places, and I think something like Vancouver is also a very big destination for tourists. So I get to meet people from a lot of different parts of the world. But I think if you're coming to Canada and you're in a small city, don't dread it. I think there are a lot of advantages to that as well. If you're that big city person, you can always have your sights set on the big city. Down the line you can make a move, but don't be in a rush. Don't think you have to be in one of these bigger cities. It's not an absolute requirement. It's just a personality thing. I liked having new opportunities, I liked making new friends, and I liked doing some of the things that I couldn't do in smaller towns, and that's why I moved to Vancouver. So for all of us it might be different. If you feel like a smaller town is too small for you, then you can look into moving out. But if you want to save some money, you can stay in a smaller town. So I hope that gave you some perspective. You don't have to move to Vancouver, you don't have to move to Toronto, but you always have the option down the line, and this is just basically why I moved to Vancouver. So I hope this gave you some perspective. If it did, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.